Today, we are going to explore a bit more of the HTML and CSS. We are going to see how we can develop a simple application using the HTML and CSS. We are going to design a site, a simple page site that would showcase a product and then showcase some information on the product. The first thing in which I have to do is I have to open my root folder. So again, I would create a folder. So here I am creating a folder. I'm going to crawl the folder in which I'm going to create my site. And then inside the folder I've created called my site, I'm going to right click and I'm going to go to open in terminal and I'm going to type code space and dot. So that will allow me to open up the site. Sorry, open up the site in the environment. So now I am in the environment. This presents me with the environment for me to type my code. The environment is the VS Code environment. By now, we should all be able to open our root folder or our project folder inside our environment. Now, in this environment, I'm going to create a file. The file is going to be called index.html. I'm going to create another file. I'm going to create another file called style.css. So I've just created a HTML file and a CSS file so that my work here would have HTML and CSS connotations to it. The first thing I will do is I will design my HTML file. I will design my HTML structure, sorry. So inside my HTML code, what I will do is I will type HTML semicolon 5. And this presents me with my HTML basic structure. Again, remember, in the exam, if I ask you, write the basic structure of a HTML page, I expect you to write the code you see on the screen here for me with no errors. So this presents me with my HTML structure. The site is going to be for a photography organization. So here, let's call it Gideon Photos. Let's call it Gideon Photos. So here I am presented with Gideon Photos. Now, in Gideon Photos, I have to link this file here with the page that has my CSS in it. To link them together, I would do that in the head tag. And inside the head tag, I'll bring my link tag. And the link tag does not have a close tag, so I'll have a slash at the end. Now, in here, there are some things I have to do. What is the first thing I have to do? I have to tell the computer where the file I'm referring to is. So the file I'm referring to, so I'm using hyperreference, href, hyperreference. So I'm referencing the file. So the file is located at the same location that the index is. So when I type the file name, you can see that the computer immediately knows that this is what I'm referring to. When I press the control button and I click on it, you can see that it takes me to the styles.css. So I'm here. So I've linked my CSS files to my HTML file. So now those two applications have been linked together. Now, I have to type my HTML code. When I right click and I go and click on open in terminal, I can see that my site of Gideon Photos has nothing there. There is nothing there. There is no code in it. So now I have to put in the code in it. First thing I want to do is I want to do a navigation at the top so that people can click and go where they have to go. So I would create the nav tag, and then inside the nav tag, where the people have to go, let me just do this so that structure dot draw. Okay, so I want to do the following. So in here, this is going to be my site. So here is my screen, okay? And then in my screen at the top, I need a navigation. So I need this navigation over here. So let me make it this color. And then in here, I need to create two different sections. So I have section 1 here, and then I have another section here for section 2. Okay, section 1, I'm going to make it this color. This one, I'm going to make it that color. Now, for your eyes to see, it means that this section here, so over here, I'll have another section here, and I'm going to make this color this. So my site is basically section. It is very important. You see, the human eye cannot focus on anything. You only focus on section. So your job as a web developer is to bring the section that you want the user to focus on. Normally, whenever you talk to people about websites, they tell you that, oh, the website, every part of the website matters. It's not true. The website is there for a purpose. So you see that the purpose that you want, if it is for signing up or logging in or buying an item, that is the part in which you must make it catchy for the person to go there. When the elections were going on, you realize that when there is a poster of Bawumia or Mahama, they put them all together one by one, and they are all together. And to the mind, you would say, why don't you separate them so that people can see them in different places? Why do you put 10 or 15 of them at the same location, one beside this other, and then underneath? Because when it is like that, your eyes hit it faster than when it is individual, when it is alone. It's very important that in your mind, the structure of your site must be designed. So over here, the first thing in which I did was this yellow thing in which I have here. This yellow thing in which I have here is the nav. So the white thing in which I have over here is the body. So I have the body. Now in the body, I have the nav. The nav would be at the top here. Okay? The nav is at the top here. Now, inside the nav, which stands for navigation, I am going to create two distinct sections. One section for the logo, the other section for the links the user is going to click on, the locations in which the user is going to go. So in here, in my code, in the nav, I'm going to split it with a div and say in this div, there should be an A tag here with a hypertext reference going to nowhere. So the moment I bring the hash there, it means I'm going nowhere. So when you click on it, you will remain on the site you are on. If I want you to go to somewhere, google.com or facebook.com, there's where I would write https:/google.com or whatever I want you to go. But for now, I want you to remain there. So I'll use the hash. And then I'll tell the computer that it should be wrapped around Gideon Photos. So this section I have done here is the section in which I have over here. So I've done this section. Now I have to do the other section, the purple section. So the purple section will now come in as an ordered list. And then in here, I'm going to say LI, which stands for list item. And then I'll have another LI, another LI, and another LI. So I'll have 5 LIs. Now, in the LIs, I'm going to have an A tag. Just to save me some time, I'm going to put an A tag in here. And then all of them will have a hypertext reference which goes to nowhere. It remains on the page. So when you click on it, you go nowhere, you remain on the page. Now, wrapped around it here, I'll have home, I'll have about, I will have services. Over here, I'll have contact. And then over here, I'll have feedback. Now, if I am to go back to my browser and look, I can see that I have Gideon photos over here. I have the clickables over here. When I click on something, you can see that at the top here, the hash symbol comes there. I go nowhere because I've told the computer when someone clicks on it, take me nowhere, remain where you are. So this is the navigation section. Of course, I have not designed it for it to look like how it looks like over here, but I have put in the blocks of where they should be. So I know that I will have something at the top, which would be navigation. The navigation will be in the body. And whilst you are in navigation, it is broken down into 2 halves. You have 1 half for the logo, another half for the links that the user is going to click. Are there any questions so far?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Now, I want to put an image over there, an image which will serve as my background. So here I'll create a div tag. Oh, by the way, over here, there are some things I should have done which I didn't do. So let me do them before I go and create my div tag. So let me do them. So I need to know the names in which I'm giving these because there is a div here, there is a nav here. It becomes confusing very quickly. Do you understand? So I need to find a way of naming the things in which I am doing. So I'm going to name them. Now, in the nav, before I bring all of this code over here, just so that I can have more control over how I display the data, I'm going to put a div in here. I'm going to call this div a class name. I'm going to give this div a class name called menu so that I can keep track of that. And then in the div tag called menu, I'll put the code I just did there so that over here, I'll have another class name here, and I'm going to call this logo so that I know that whenever I call logo, I know what I am targeting directly. Now, under the nav, so right now I am under the nav, so visually, over here, I have just created something over here like this. And then I have given that thing I have created, let's say a color like, if I use this, a color like this, are we okay? So I've just created this. Great. So back here again, oh, sorry. Back here again in my code, I'm going to create another div, and I'm going to give this div a class name of img, and then I'm going to close off my div. Then under it, I'm going to do another div, and I'm going to give it a class name called center. Remember, a class name is a name that we give to a group of items who are alike. For example, all of you in this group right now are, some of you are, even this is perfect. Some of you are computer science students, some of you are cyber students, some of you are software engineering students. So when I say cyber students, unmute and then say hi, a group of you would unmute and say hi. You are a class. That is a class. Now, if I want to target you individually, then I will be targeting your index number. And that means, in that case, I'll be using an ID, not a class. But for a class, it is a group name. It's a group of people. Okay. So in here, I have center. And in the center, I have div. And then I'm going to create another div, class, call it title. And then in here, I'm going to call it, what do we say about Gideon? Okay. What do I say about Gideon's photo? Need to stop time. We can help. Okay, so if you need to stop time, we can help. Great. Now, under this, I'm going to create another div. And then I'm going to give this div a class name called subtitle. And then in here, I need to give a subtitle to our friend Gideon photo. So here, any day, any month, anytime. Okay, so this is a subtitle. And then over here, I'm going to create another div. And I'm going to call this div buttons. And then in here, I'm going to create a button for learn more. And I'm going to create another button for subscribe. Now, this presents me with the structure of the site I'm looking for. So when I go in here and I refresh, I want these things here. Someone will ask, where are all the divs? The divs are divisions. They allow you to create divisions in your work, segments, sections. They allow you to proportion your work that you are doing. So unless you want the divs to be visual, to be visible, you want their lines to be seen, they will not be seen. So you have to tell the computer, okay, I want this div to be 4 width or 5 width, it should be seen, it should have a background, it should be this, it should be that. Until you tell the computer to do that, a div is invisible. But you as the web developer know that I have a division here, I have a division here, I have a division here, I have a division for this, I have a division for this, I have a division for this. So it allows you to group and segment your work. Very, very important. The job of HTML is to provide the structure of your work. I have provided the structure of my work. There was a reason I gave you those 2 videos and things. And as you can see, I don't think you're children anymore. So I don't do the whole, have you learned? Did you do? I don't do that with you. I assume you have learned it. I assume you are taking things serious. So if you have, then you can see how easy it was for me to design the page. Why was it easy for me? Because I know what each tag is supposed to do. If I want to link something, I'll use the A tag. If I want to do a list of something, it has to be ordered or unordered. If it is unordered, then I will use the UL. If I want to create a button, I can use the button tag. Everything in which I want to do, I know the tag I'll do, the tag that will help me achieve it. So I'll just write the tag and achieve it. We make programming especially development, a bit more difficult than it should be. Please, the key word, practice. Practice so you don't have to think of it when executing anymore. Now I'm done with the HTML part of my work. I must move swiftly to the CSS part of my work. That is, I must now design how I want my page to look like. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to import some CSS fonts. So I'm going to import the popping font. Again, you don't have to chew this code. The link is there already. If I go to this link over here, you'd see that the font items are there. They come from Google. So you can just refer it to your work and bring it in. You don't have to install anything. So I'm just importing so that I'll have a font which looks a bit nicer than the normal font. First code I'll write is star. The last class we had, we treated star. We said when we say star, we are saying all. So I'm saying all the items on my screen should have the properties in which I'm coming to put here. Let us look at our design immediately. You can see there's a gap here, there's some gap over here, there are some gaps all over in our application. The first thing I want to do is I want to remove all the gaps so that I will control if you have a gap or if you do not have a gap. So that if I give a measurement, I know the measurement is exact. If the gap is there, if I give a measurement to go and add up to it, and it wouldn't look that nice. So it wouldn't look like it's supposed to be in the correct location. So how will I do this? I'll tell the computer, attack everything and go and look for the margin and go and make the margin 0 and go and look for the padding and make the padding 0. Now, padding 0 is 0 for all angles. So every single angle that the application is on, padding and margin is going to be what? 0. If I come back to my application again and I go and refresh my page, I'll see that the gaps are removing. They are going away. They are reducing. Okay. I'm going to tell the computer that every single thing I have on my page should behave like a box. Now, why is that important? I was watching a documentary the other time, and one person said that one of the most amazing inventions in life is the container box. Because once the container box was done, or the container that they used to do the shipping was done, worldwide shipping took off. Because previously it wasn't like that. If you order something, they just put it in a sack and put it in. How to get it, it was becoming difficult. But a container, it could take a car, it could take a box, it could take socks, it could take pad, whatever that is in the box is in the box, and you just stack it up. Which made a lot of sense to me and which was very profound to me. If I want to arrange things on my page, if they are in a form of a box, it is easier to arrange them than in any other shape. So I'm telling the computer that everything on my page should behave like a box. So it should be squarish. And if it is squarish, you realize that all the items would be well arranged and squared and in order so that if I am stacking them up, I can control how they are being stacked up. I'm also going to tell the computer that all the fonts on my page, so the font family, should be popping. Now, if the person's browser or the person's computer for some reason doesn't have the poppings, then use sans serif. So now when I go onto my page, I'll see that I'm using popping. It is very important we discuss these things and we understand these kinds of things. Are there any questions so far?
No, please.
So I'm going to tell the computer that if you go and highlight something, so anything that is highlighted on my page. So again, I'm going to use a pseudo selector. I'm going to say dot dot, and then I'm going to say selection. And I'm going to say anything that section there means it allows you to style a portion of the page that the user highlights with their cursor. So anything that the user highlights with their cursor, make sure that the color of that thing becomes black. So black. And then also make sure the background of that thing is white. So again, we can go to our page. And we can see that we are on track. Everything is controlled by you. The design, the feel, how it looks like, everything is controlled by you. 1 second. Good. So all the elements I have done have taken effect. They are here. They are close together. They are in a box format. Everything is going well. Now, I'm going to target specific things. So I'm going to target the HTML tag nav. And in the HTML target nav, I'm going to say the positioning of it should be fixed, which means it will never change. It will never go out. It is fixed. We are plugging it over there. It should have a background of deep black. That is 1B, 1B, 1B. It should have a width of 100%. 100% means that whatever the device of the user, the width of that device, you should be 100% of it. If I tell it that it should be, let's say, 20 pixels or 500 pixels or 1,200 pixels, it means that if the person's device is bigger than 1,200 pixels, the rest would be junk. It will not style that side. By me giving percentage instead of pixels, I'm telling you that whatever your device, be 100% of it. So regardless of the screen size of the individual, be it is using mobile or tablet or computer or a big monitor, it will cover 100% of the screen. We are saying that the padding of items in the nav should be 10% from the left and right and 0% from the top and bottom. Now, we are also going to say that when we stack the items, you see, all items on your screen here are stacked together. Okay, they are stacked together. So we are saying that the navigation bar should have a Z index of 12. Now, the Z index means that the items which appear, what goes on top of the other. So technically, if the higher your Z index, it means you are higher on top. So with a Z index of 12, anything would be lower than this. So I'm technically telling the computer that make sure that the navigation bar, whatever happens, it is always at the top. Remember, the higher the value you put at the Z index, the more on top the item is going to be. Oh no, I think I've gotten it wrong. The lower the value, the more down it is going to be. So you always want to choose the figure you are choosing, the positioning of the item, and where you want the item to appear. Let us see what the code we wrote here has done to our application over here. 1 second. There's something wrong. Let me check something. I'm coming. My things are not taking effect. Yes. The things I'm doing are not taking effect. They should be taking effect. So I have an error somewhere. Let me see what it is. Okay, I think it is coming from the URL. Let me take it off and see. Let me check. Um, One second, I'm coming. Again, over here, when you did the link, I should have added this so that it knows that this is a style sheet and then you can use it to render the page. I didn't do that, so that's why it wasn't coming out. Now, when we go back in here, let me remove the navigation code here. Let me save. I'll come here. And I can see I have my elements, all the spaces removed. Because they are a box, as I was saying, they are all stacked up one on top of the other, right? They are all stacked up one on top of the other. And then in that order. Now, I'm telling the computer some few things over here. Number one, I want the positioning of the nav bar to be fixed. That means something. It means that all of the things which are here, no matter where they are, I really don't care. Make sure the nav bar here does not change its position. It is always there. So that when the user is scrolling, the nav bar will always be there because it is fixed. I'm also saying that the nav bar should have a width of 100%. So this width of 100%, what is it going to do? It's going to make sure that the nav bar is totally hitting black from here to here. You can see that when the 100% was not there, it wasn't hitting the angles. Okay, now I'm saying the padding should be 10% left and right and 0% up and down. So when I come in back to the site, I'll see that, oh, sorry, so there's a gap here for up and down. I think I got it all mixed up. So it's 10 here, 10 here, and then left and right, I've left them like that. And then over here, I'm telling the computer that it should always be I'm telling the computer that it should always be on top. Okay, so I've made sure it is always on top. Now, I'm going to focus on the navigation bar, but not only the navigation bar, but the menu in the navigation bar. Who can tell me why for the navigation bar, I do not put a dot in front, but for the menu, I put a dot in front? Who can tell me? Hello?
Sir,
Yes.
if can I try?
Yes, you
Sir,
can.
Sir, because you are making the command specifically for the menu in the navigation bar,
I'm making
not
a what?
for the command specifically for the menu,
Yes.
not for the navigation bar.
Perfect. But why the dot in front of it? Why didn't I just type menu and I put dot menu there?
In our code, we don't have nav menu.
Okay. So
Yeah.
your first half is correct, but your second half is not correct. You see, over here, when I come to the code, I have this nav bar here. It is a tag. So if I'm writing CSS for a tag, I don't bring anything in front of it. I just write the name of the tag. You can see that over here, I just wrote nav. It's correct. Now, this menu here is pointing to a div. If I write div over here, it will apply to every single div on the page, which is not acceptable. So I am referring to the div that is of the class menu alone. So in CSS, if you bring a dot in front of something, it means that that thing is a class. If I bring a hashtag in front of something, it means that that thing is an ID. So the dot there is telling me that when I go to the HTML element nav, in it, I will find a class called what? Menu. Everything has meaning, and we need to learn the meaning. So in here, I'm going to tell the computer that the menu should have a maximum width of 1250 pixels. I'm going to tell the computer that the menu should have a margin of auto. That means that all sides should be equal. It should have a display of flex, which means everything should appear on the same line. So you can see that the moment I come here, I would see everything appearing on the same line. Now, yeah. When I go further, I'll go and click on here and say the alignment of items should be center. The justification of content should be space between. And finally, I want the padding to be 0 for up and down, and left and right should be 20 pixels. So when I come back here again, I'll have my application looking like this for my menu. Now I can go further and go and attack the logo in the menu. So I'm attacking this one. Here, the logo, let me make it one word so that it's easier for logos there. Normally, one word is best. So I'm going to tell the computer, when you go to the class called menu, go and look for a class called logo and look for the A tag in the class called logo. So again, you should know what these things mean. It means when I come here, I'll find menu. In menu, I'll find logo. And in logo, I'm finding what? The A tag over here. And in here, I'm telling the computer that the text decoration, you can see that the items I have on my site here are always bluish and all of that. So I'll tell the computer, and they are underlined. So I'll tell the computer, don't do anything to them. So they should be what? None. So that should take them all away. So you can see that all the other ones have lines on them, but the Gideon one doesn't have any line on them on it because it is only the Gideon one that is here. The rest of them are in a different location. They are not in logo. So when I come back here, I'm telling the computer again that the color of it should be white. I'm telling the computer again that the font I want should be 35 pixels. We are telling the computer that it should be bold. And when we want to say bold, it is called font weight. So it should be 600. The weight of it should be 600. That's the boldness I want. So when I come in here again, I can see Gideon photos and I can see how bold they are. If I go back, I'm at 100. If I go to the normal screen, this is how it will look like. So I've done the Gideon photos over here. So in here, I'm going to again go to the menu, and in the menu, I'll look for any UL elements. That means that now I am done with this section here. I'm going for this section over here. Remember, when I did a draw IO, I told you that we have section here and section here. I'm done with this section. Now I'm moving to this section over here. And in that section, I'm going to tell the computer some few things. Number one, I want you to display the items inline flex. So what will that do? To make sure that all my items are on the same line. Perfect. That is what I really want. Now, once they are on the same line, I can then go and attack the LI element. So in the UL, I want the LI elements. And then the list style should be none, so that all the dots in front of the list item are gone away. So they are not there anymore. And I want there to be a margin to the left of 0 of 7 pixels, so that each item would move some few spaces out of each item. So you can see very, very visibly that, let me scroll in deeper. You can see that each item will move 7 pixels away from each other. So I have some space over there for me to see the items very well. Now, I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to say for all of this, the first one in which you find, so the first child. So it means that with this first child sudo command, I'm only focusing on this one since this is the first child. I want the margin left of the first child to be 0 pixels. Now I can decorate it. So I want the menu items, UL, LI, A. And then when you find the A, now I'm coming to decorate it. So I want the text decoration to be none. So you can see that immediately all the things around it that make it decorating and whatever, they are what? They are none. Great. And you can see that because I said the left this thing should be 0. Now the home is touching the line over here. Perfect. I want also the color of it to be what? White, because I have a black background. So the white will make it pop. So here I have what? White. I want the font size to be 18 pixels. I want the font weight to be 500. I want the padding to be 8 pixels up and down. And then I wanted 15 pixels side and side. I want the border radius to be 5 pixels. And finally, I want the transition. And this is a very important HTML tool. Transition means that when your page starts and everything is there, all of it should delay by 0.3 seconds, and it should come onto the person's screen in an easy way. So when I come back here, so that when the thing starts, it just pops up that like just I refresh the page, everything pop up, it just pop up small. Yeah. And then finally, every time a user goes and hovers over an item, that is, you put your cursor on top of an item, I want the background color to be white, and I want the color of the text on the screen to be black. Now, when I come back here, I click here, I refresh my screen, I bring it here, you can see that I have white, 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 white. The thing becomes black, gives a nice feel to the site. Are there any questions so far?
No, sir.
Yeah, let me see if this thing is there. Because here, okay, here it's supposed to be display flex, not display blue. That is why
There was, yeah, I was trying to point it about the
that is
display.
why it is not coming like this. So I was wondering, I was like, why is it not coming side by side? Okay, so the display flex, so it's now side by side. So this is the
Sir.
menu I was looking for.
Sir.
Yes,
Sir, please, after the class, how do we access the recorded video?
I will send it to you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
So now I have this. It looks pretty good, but I don't have anything over here. As I told you, we created a spot for the
Image.
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 Yes. So now let's put the image there. Our thing is coming up together very nicely. So now I'm going to target this one. I'll finish with the nav. I'm going to target this one. So in targeting it, we gave it a class name called image. So I'm going to target dot what? img. And I'm going to tell the computer that .img should have a background URL into brackets, and it should not repeat. No repeat. Sorry. No hyphen repeat. Now in here, I have to put in the image. I have some image on the computer in which I downloaded earlier. So this image of the camera, remember it's Gideon photo, so it should be an image of the camera. So over here, I'm going to tell the computer that the URL, because it is in the same location as the index, I can just type the name there. So the name there is image 3 dots that. So I have the image over there. So when I come to the screen, I click here, I refresh, I should see my image there, shouldn't I? Over here, there's no problem here. So let's see. Okay. Did I do something wrong? By the way, I hope you can see everything I'm doing from my head. There are times in which I make a mistake. We all make mistakes. There is no shame in making a mistake. But when I make a mistake, I go and ask myself, why is there a mistake? I look for it, I solve it. So everything here looks good. So I have .img here. Let me make sure we have img here is img. The spelling is correct and everything. So over here, I should have an image over here. Oh, I remember the image is being covered. Okay, so let's see how I can solve that. So here I'm going to tell the computer width should be 100%, and then the height should be 100% of the viewing area. The background image or the background size should cover the entire page, and then the background positioning should be in the center. And finally, the position of it should be relative. So it shouldn't be fixed, it should be relative to the screen of the individual. Well, this one, I'm sure by now my image should be there. If it's not there, then we have a problem. Do we have a problem? We do. Where's my image? One second. Let's find out why my image is not coming. Or let me see. Let me start this again. Maybe the server link has broken. It's not broken too. So what is going on? Mhm. Oh no, it is not that. It's not because image is a tag. The IMG is a tag, but we didn't use the IMG as a tag. We used the IMG as a class name, so it should work. Since we use the IMG as a class name, it should work. So we didn't use it as a tag, so that's not why it is not coming. There's a totally different reason why it is not coming. Let me figure out why it is not coming. Okay. Okay. So the height, I changed this to 100% viewing area. The width, I changed it to 100%. Here's still cover, here's still relative. And I think maybe the error would be how I type the background over here or something. But now I've got it to work. So my image is now there. So I have a nice image of a camera over here. Gideon photos, home, data working. My image has appeared. Now let's put some of the writings in which we said should be on it, the title and all of those things that we said. So let's come back here. In here, I have image, dot image. Remember, if you just write image, it means you are talking about the tag. Because it's dot image, I'm talking about the class. So here I have image, and then the modifier, I'm going to say before. So before the image class comes, the content should be nothing. So I'm bringing nothing there. the positioning of it should be absolute. The height of it should be 100%. The width of it should be 100%. And then the background color or the background should be red, green, blue, alpha, 0, 0, 0, 0.4. Okay. So it should be a gray shade. So what I'm doing here is that I'm telling the computer so that sometimes it takes some time for it to move. So before the image comes, you see that there is some gray showing there before the image comes. So that the moment the image pops up and then appears onto your screen, you wouldn't have white showing, but there will be a gray showing. So that when the image comes, then it will take the place of that. So that is what this code is there for, so that people will not just get white screen, but they will get something before the image shows. Now, we have done the image before, so now let's look at the center, the items that appear in the center. So now my entire focus is on all the things that are in this section. Remember, everything is in the center here. So I'm focusing on the center over there. Now in center, I'm going to tell the computer the positioning of it should be absolute. So it should be fixed. Give me 1 second, I'm coming. Okay, sorry about that. So in here, it should be absolute. It should be at the distance between it and the top should always be 25% of the viewing area. And then on the left-hand side, no matter what the screen is of the individual, it should give a gap of 50% of the person's screen. And then the transformation, I want to put it dead center. So I'm dealing with the Cartesian plane. So it should be minus 50%, comma, minus 50%. Great. Then in here, I want the width to be 100%. I want the padding to be 0 up and down, 20 pixels left and right. And then I want the text alignment to be center. Now, if I go to the top here,
Please, about the pattern. There's no column.
Yeah, I'll put it there. Don't worry. Perfect. So let's see our screen now. You can see the writings are showing now. They are here, but they don't look all that nice. So let's make them look nice. Okay. The writings are showing, but they don't look all that nice. Let's start with the title. So in the center, go and look for title. And then we want the title should have a color of what? White. So color should be hashtag FFF. And then we want the font size to be 52 pixels. And then we want the font weight to be 600. Over here, let's do it 55, so it's a bit bigger. So let's see the title on my page. Refresh, nothing happened. Let's go and check what is going on. So click here. In here, I have, okay, so I put some close brackets here that was not supposed to be there. So when I come back here, now it is working. And whilst we are going on, the reason why I'm doing this today is because I want you to see how the HTML and CSS combine together. And you can see how if I run it and something is not working how it's supposed to be, in my mind, first of all, go and check if the name is correct. If the name is correct, then it means the problem is coming from the CSS. There is no need to panic. There's no need to rush. There's no need to feel some way. Just check, make sure everything you've done, the spellings, everything is correct. Just check through. In my case, the spelling of the title was not correct. That's why it was not coming. Everything here is going to be the same. Everything here is going to literally be the same for the subtitle. So here I have center.subtitle. So everything will be the same. The only difference over here is here, I'll make it a bit smaller to 53, so that when the user comes in here, you would see the writings a bit smaller, okay? So again, it didn't take effect. So let's go back here. Over here, we called it subtitle, but we didn't bring the T here for the subtitle to be spelled correctly. Now that I've spelled it correctly, you can see it says any day, anytime, anywhere. But I think this is too long, so here I'll just put the anytime. Just something simple like this. Now over here, you just see anytime. The next thing is we have to style up the buttons. Are there any questions now? Yeah, what's up? Good morning. Weekend, the combined class, the semester 2 and 3, I'm teaching one in the morning and one in the afternoon when it's supposed to be the same class. So it has to be combined. Yeah, the object oriented. In the weekend, you gave me Saturday, but they are split. Both the same class, so it just has to be one time. The earlier one, the first one. It's not 8 a.m. or 8 a.m. I think it's 9 or something. Okay, yeah, then the 8 a.m. to 12. Yeah, 8 a.m. to that's okay. 8 a.m. to 12. That's Hi guys. Sorry about that. Hello?
Hello, sir. We are here.
Okay. So that's that aspect of it. Then the next thing I have to now focus on is the buttons. So I just have to do the buttons. So here I'm going to say when you go to the center, you find something there called BTNS. and I want the margin of the BT and Ss from the top to be 20 pixels. Okay, so that alone will bring the things here down a bit for me. Perfect. So here the bins is correctly spelled and it is in center, so that's fine. So dot this, dot that. I want the margin from the top to be this. Then I'll just go on and style the buttons themselves. So when you go to this location, go and look for the button. And when you find the button, in there, I want you to give the button a height of 50 pixels, 55 pixels. I want you to give it a width of 170 pixels. I want you to give the button a border radius of 5 pixels. I want you to give it a border of none. I want you to give it a margin of 0 up and down and 10 pixels left and right. I want you to give it a border, which is 2 pixels thick, solid, and white. And I want you to give it a font size of 20 pixels. I want you to give it a font weight of 500 pixels, or 500, sorry. I want you to give it a padding of 0.10 pixels. And I want you that whenever someone puts the cursor on it, it should behave like a pointer. I also want the outline to be none. And I want it to, when the page opens, I want it to transition into the page with 0.3 seconds. It should ease into the page. So with all of this, when someone comes in here, the button looks like this. Very, very nice. Very, very simple. Very, very easy to do. Now, when someone puts the cursor on the button, some things need to happen. So I'm going to tell the computer, when we get to the center, when you go and click on the buttons, when you choose the button, the first button, so the first child, I want you to make the color white. I want you to make the background none. Now, when someone goes and hovers on top of the first button, so dot button, first child, over. I want you to make the background color. The background white. And then the color black. So when someone comes in here and hovers on this, the effects are not taking place. So let's figure out why they're not taking place. So for this one, it works. Oh, here it's supposed to be 1 column, it's not 2. So I think the error is coming from there. Perfect. So when I bring it in, turns it to white, changes the color of it. Perfect. You have your subscribe over here. Learn more. The person comes here, he learns more. One thing in which is very beautiful about web development is that look at where we started from. We started from um, here. So if I take this CSS out, we started from here. And then look at where we ended up. We ended at here. Designs we do, the shapes we make, the creations we create, they all come from us. We develop them, we create them, we build them. HTML should not take you more than a week to learn. And you don't have to learn every single HTML tag. Even I don't know every HTML tag. But there are some tags in which you use day to day, and you must know not just the tag, but how to use it. Because again, you will not do the same site every day. Each one will change. So you must know, oh, I want to do this. What will I need to do it? I'll need this tag. That is why knowing the tags are important. CSS is design. You are targeting elements. You are pointing at elements and targeting them to get a desired result in which you are looking for. So practice is very important. And when you do it, you say, oh, if I make this 10, what will happen? Then it becomes to be, oh, next time when I'm doing it, I'll do 2. Because if I do 10, it will be very, very big. If I do 2, it will be better. That is how you learn HTML, CSS. Moving forward, everything will go, you would start adding JavaScript to it. We'll do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. It is very important you spend time learning the HTML and CSS. Your assignment for the day is that you are to build a site that looks like this by next week, Wednesday. The first hour of our lecture or the first 30 minutes of our lecture, each person will come and show me what they have done. If the site does not look comparable to what I have done today within the time of the lecture, you will not get any mark. Design the best site that talks about you. Your photo should be there. What you do, the work, your school, your favorites, anything you want to talk about should be there. It should be well designed and well developed. I will send you the code, I'll send you the video from the class, and I'll send you the images so you can practice what we have done today in class. Are there any questions? If there are no questions, then thank you for coming. We'll meet again next week. Bye-bye.